Hey, everybody, welcome back to Leaders Lead. I'm Zach Husted, and I'm here with my buddy Bill Wilder, and one of my mentors, and he's like a big brother to me. So super thrilled to have him here. Bill, thanks for your time today, and thanks for joining us, man. I know you're
Sure.
super busy.
Thanks for
Um,
having me, and thanks for doing this. I think this is a
yeah,
wonderful thing.
yeah, man. Thanks for being here. Uh, I think you're in the middle of like doing all sorts of craziness down in Georgia, like
Yeah,
moving houses or something. I don't know, man. You're always doing something
that's right.
crazier and cool. Um, it but For those of you who don't know Bill, Bill, can you just give us a real quick nickel tour of a little bit of your background, just
Sure.
super brief, and a little bit about your military career?
Yeah, sure. So I'd probably say my life, probably professional life, is really three main chapters. Chapter one was the military. I spent just under 9 years in the military, a couple of them as an enlisted person, and the bulk as an officer. Was a contracting officer, both on the combat side and on the weapon system side. So got to see a lot of different things during that period. Second chapter of my life was as an executive with Best Buy, which is where Zach and I know each other from. I held a number of assignments, last of which was running their B2B division, which we worked in together. And then this last decade, I've been in the background screening business. So, all about screening folks to make sure that the wrong people don't get in the wrong jobs, and have ran several companies in this industry, and currently running probably the largest, not probably the largest, background screening wholesaler in the world. So,
Yeah, man. That's a huge responsibility, and the largest in the world. I mean, huge. That's touching a lot of people every day, and they don't even know it. And so, thanks for what you're doing now to continue to serve, and thank you for your service
appreciate it.
that you've
Thank
had
you.
before, man. Um, as we dive into question number three out of question number five, Bill, can you talk to us a little bit about teamwork, collaboration, and just the overall essence of success, and how that has helped you develop teams throughout the years and contributed to how you
Yeah,
think about that as you're in a technology space today?
right. I can distill this down to just a couple key points when it comes to teamwork, because teamwork is absolutely everything. Um, just a few golden rules around this, or commandments. One, everybody has to understand the why. Too often leaders will say, "Just go do this" or "Just go do that." If people don't understand the why, you're never going to get anything other than an average or even below average effort, whatever that why may be. But everybody needs to understand it, and they need to be plugged into it. Secondarily, uh, at some point, you got to help people understand the big scoreboard, right? So, how is it measured? How is it connect? How do people know they're doing a good job? Because you can't, as a leader, constantly be there trying to help. Hey, you need to turn a little this way or turn a little that way. They need to have a way of measuring themselves uh, to adjust. So that is, ingredient number two. Ingredient number three as a leader, and I think this is probably the hardest skill to learn, and I don't even have the faintest idea how to teach it, but you have to get to a point as a leader where you can operate on two planes simultaneously. What I mean by that is plane one, or sort of altitude one, is all about making sure the progress towards the mission is happening. So it's the tactical details, is this being accomplished, this milestone happening, the tactical stuff. And I think everybody does that fine. I think where a lot of leaders fall down is they don't operate on that other plane, which is understanding um, how and paying attention to how well the team is working together.
Hmm.
Yeah, quick diversion here. The way I built the skill was quite by accident. I think I referred to this maybe in a prior call. I had a project once where I was overseeing the development of the retinal targeting system, which,
Mm-hmm.
for layman people, basically imagine a gun that shoots where you look. So you don't have to aim the gun; it just wherever you look, the gun shoots. Um, And I didn't know squat about the science or the technology. So the only value I could bring in that entire conversation was I didn't know what they were saying, but I knew when they weren't on the same page. I could tell based on their behavior or how they were connecting. And so I ended up having to learn to operate on that other plane because I didn't know squat about the subject matter. Turned out to be a blessing. So learning to operate on two planes simultaneously when leading a team is very important. Um, and how does that make sense? I mean, I don't know if your
Yeah,
readers are
it
getting
totally
it, but
does. Yeah,
the,
because
the
you're dealing with the team dynamic.
right, you're very much dealing with the team dynamic. The last lesson, I'll share a story. Quite again, it's you and I have talked about these little moments and these inflection points in a leader's journey that make you the leader. And back in January of '95, I went to a dinner in Boston, and at the dinner it was all the living Medal of Honor recipients. Right, it's kind of an annual get together. Um, and so you're sitting in this dinner, and at every table, these are like these big 10-person banquet tables. At every table, there's a Medal of Honor winner sitting at the table. And so at my table was a gentleman by the name of Tom Hudner. If any of you have recently watched a movie called The Devotion, he's a featured role in that movie. But uh, spent the evening with Tom. He Captain Tom. He's a Navy captain. Um, in that evening, at some point, he challenged me and he said, "I want you to go around the room and I want you to meet as many of the MOHs as you can, the Medal of Honor people, and I want you to come back and talk to me." And so during the course of the evening, I did that. I walked around, I talked to him, came back to him towards the end of the evening when everybody's starting to wind down, and he said, "Lieutenant Wilder, come sit down, have a conversation." Um, he he asked me two questions. Question one: why did they do what they did? And I hadn't really thought about that up until that moment in in the evening. And this is very relevant to your question. Like, after talking to over 20 Medal of Honor recipients that evening, not one of them talked about duty or honor or the military service or country, patriotism, none of that. Every single one of them talked about was I couldn't let my buddies get hurt. I couldn't let my buddies down. It was all about the team. And when I told him that, he goes, "Okay, so see, you've learned a very important lesson because if you think about the military, they have the recruiting posters, they have the cool commercials, they have the whole adrenaline junkie stuff. They have these commanders that are incredibly charismatic, but at the end of the day, none of that matters. So, you know, when you're building teams, the most important thing is to create loyalty to each other, not to you as their commander, not to your company, not even to the mission of your company." So I would say, as it relates to teamwork and collaboration, we as leaders, we have to figure out a way to get the teams committed to each other because that's where extraordinary performance comes from. The second question, and this isn't really related to yours, but I think it's an important moment for me, at least personally, as a leadership development. He asked, "What did all the MOHs have in common?" And I couldn't think of anything, right? And I honestly felt stupid for a moment because, like, they came from. I mean, Tom Hudner came from a rich family, right? Some of the other guys came from poor families. Some of them were immigrants. Some of them were college educated. Some of them didn't even graduate high school. They were different ages, and honestly, I said, "You know what? I don't know, Captain Hudner. I didn't." He goes, "Exactly. Greatness can live in anybody, right? Greatness can live in absolutely anybody. So the trick is, as a leader, go help bring the greatness out of other people,
Mm.
right? And so, to your question, what did I learn in the military about teamwork and collaboration? All of those points, but those last two are really the biggest two things is get the team dependent on each other and then figure out how to get the greatness out of them,
Yeah, man,
right?
that's a powerful story. You know, I don't know that you've ever told me that story. I
I,
I think
yeah.
I can't remember if you ever have. And if you have, I clearly don't remember it because that's pretty impactful.
It's just,
Um
again, it's these little moments. I mean, I know I've shared level stories with you over the years. The boot story, I
mhm,
think, is the one that's
mhm,
probably the most common. But at the end of the day, that's what it ultimately comes down to is just uh, teamwork is exactly about that, the team. And you
mhm.
got to make that sort of front and center.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Hey man, Bill, I wish I had something profound to add to that. I don't. I mean, that's just pure wisdom right there. And I think that's great. So for all the listeners that are hearing it, I mean, Bill, you got some really good nuggets of wisdom there for people that are listening in on this. And thanks for joining us today on this. So, Bill, what can we do as a community to lift you up and support you and in
Sure.
what you believe in?
I appreciate it. I mean, certainly, there's a lot of good people can do in a lot of ways. My passion and my company's passion right now is around military spouses. They
Mm,
have a unique challenge when it comes to, having their own career while their spouse is, moving around with the military. And so we have made it our mission to figure out how to make our jobs as transportable as possible so military spouses can have a career. And I would just encourage those in a position out there to do so. Look at your own jobs. I mean, these are great team members. They do an amazing job, but they made it a little more unconventional sort of work environment.
mhm.
Uh, but if you can make that happen, you'll have no better team members. I promise you.
Yeah, absolutely right. Um, I completely agree with you. So, hey, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. Bill Wilder here. He just answered question 3 out of question 5. We'll be back tomorrow with question number 4 out of 5 with Bill Wilder. Hey Bill, thanks for sticking with us. We're
Well,
halfway through, and appreciate all the wisdom you're dropping on the Leaders Lead podcast. So, thanks everybody. Have a good night, Bill. Thanks for being with us.
thank you. Appreciate it.